bit earlier, you were talking about the difference between an intelligence officer and an agent. And so now we've got an exhibit about an agent. So tell us about this.
So an agent typically isn't on, they can be given money they can be given money by ASIO, but they aren't a staff member of ASIO. That's where they're different. In the case of this particular woman, her name was Anne Neill. She was a war widow. ASIO gave her money to cover travel costs associated with the work that she was doing. So she was one of the, or believed to be one of the only Allied agents to go behind the Iron Curtain. She went to Russia, and she also went to China while she was working as an agent. And they also bought her a cutlery set. So it's one of those weird things that you come across in the file and you know she's not being paid, and in the file it repeatedly says that it's having a toll on her health. You know, she's going and doing this work for the Communist Party, she's a secretary to a senior member there, and then she's coming back home or staying at a tram stop and debriefing with an officer for, you know, hours and passing on this information.
So her motivation was not because she wanted to be on the payroll, wasn't money to live on. Her motivation was because she thought there was something wrong going on in her community, and she wanted to do something to help.
Yeah, it's a really interesting, I guess it's easy to forget now that these people in the 1950s have just come out of World War II. That's a lived experience for them. For Anne Neill, she thought that the Communist Party were going to cause another war, and she didn't want that to happen. She was a war widow. So for her it was a very real and personal experience. She confided in one of her friends and said, "I think my local peace council has been infiltrated by members of the Communist Party and I'm concerned."
And communism was a big issue in Australia at the time.
Yeah, so one of the things that we cover in the exhibition is the Venona intercepts, and this was something that wasn't disclosed to the public. It was a code-breaking operation that was undertaken in the US, and it revealed that there were senior public servants passing on information to the Soviets, essentially. And this was something that wasn't disclosed until 1996. So you have a lot of work that's been done and talked about this period without the knowledge of the fact that this is why ASIO was founded. It was to find this spying. A similar thing happened in Canada. They revealed a spying there too, and in the UK. So it was, for a lot of people, a very real threat. We then of course have the flip side of that, where we've got a story in the exhibition about a family who were Polish Jewish people. They were basically run out of Poland because of the Nazis, and they thought that joining socialist organisations and the Communist Party was a way to head towards that peace. So the Communist Party worked with sympathetic organisations and appealed to people's interest in social change. So I guess it's interesting that these two people want the same outcome. They don't want another world war, they want a peaceful time period. But their way of going about it is, you know, completely opposite sides of the same coin.
Yeah. And you mentioned Anne Neill, was a war widow, did you say? So she's not a young, glamorous woman, a sort of a stereotype from the James Bond movie. She's a much more unassuming, can I use the word ordinary, citizen.
So one of the things that made Anne Neill so great at her job as an agent, essentially, is the fact that she was unassuming. She was someone who blended into the background. You can see in this photograph, it's her leaving the new theatre meeting that was happening in Adelaide, and that's actually pulled from some surveillance footage that's in our collection as well. But she certainly doesn't look like a Bond girl, and that was her strength. When you look at people like James Bond and other depictions of spies in films, you know, they're driving down the road in a tank and blowing things up. And that makes them essentially not great at their jobs. Their job is to go in undetected. She was working as a secretary to a senior member of the Communist Party in Adelaide, and she was, you know, sending memos for them and taking meeting notes and things like that. And that's how she managed to gather so much information.
But it did take a toll on her throughout her life?
Yeah, absolutely. So Anne Neill's role was disclosed in the paper. The idea was that people in the Communist Party were starting to get suspicious, and they thought, well, we can announce that we have this agent who's infiltrated on our behalf, and it will scare members away. It might get them to act recklessly. You know, they sort of want to scare the Communist Party a bit. So it was on the cover of that Adelaide newspaper, and it talked about the fact that she went to Russia and she went to China. But then we also have her war widow beneficiary file, and that reveals that in her old age she actually was afraid to leave the house because she was worried about the Russians attacking her. So it sort of, I guess, shows the toll that living a double life for an extended period can have. And when you look at her time as an agent versus some people's careers in ASIO or other agencies, it's much shorter. So it does make you, I guess, think about that sort of experience too.